Oh shoot, what's going on?
Hey.
Oh,
there we go. All right, sweet, perfect. Looked like it froze there for a sec.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Oh, there we go. Should be good now.
All right, awesome. So how are things there with the coronavirus?
It's. I mean, I'm assuming it's the same as it is everywhere. It's just kind of quiet, You know, grocery stores is all empty, and starting to slowly fill back up, but it's kind of the same as it is everywhere. I'm assuming everyone saying the same thing about it.
Yeah, I'm in Canada, and same sort of thing. We're all on lockdown, and everything's closed, but the grocery stores. So
Yeah, I'm assuming
unusual.
it's probably even worse there, huh?
Well, they locked down pretty soon, like they're pretty early. Like the prime minister locked it down pretty much the first case hit North America. So we lucked out there where he closed the borders pretty early on.
Smart.
But yeah, they take it seriously. Like we get fined if we're on the street with more than 5 people. So like they're cracking
Yeah.
down on it. So I think that's the
That's how it
proper.
is in that's how it is in Hawaii. My mom was just telling me about it. She's like, they're finding people like $5,000 for just for being on the beach.
Jeez, I mean, how can you be in Hawaii and not be on the beach?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're not in Hawaii now, right?
I'm in
You're
California right now.
California. Yeah, California's crazy right now too.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Like I've heard some people telling me stories about like lady was actually told me the other day she was in like some guy broke a bottle in there fighting over some groceries and stabbed a dude.
That's crazy.
I was like, well, welcome to America.
Crazy times. So you're training out of Vegas, right? At Extreme Couture, is that correct?
I'm actually training out of CSA Combat Sports Academy in Dublin right now. So I'm kind of back and forth. I train over in Vegas and Extreme. Kind of like I'm probably there every 2 months or so. But I'm trying to make way between both. It's just I've been trying to get a little more technique work that CSA focuses on more than Extreme. Extreme is really good for my live rounds, and I got a lot of push from the guys there. So I just been trying to pick different coaches' brains,
Yeah. I find the more people, the more you can learn from, right? So
Yeah. I mean,
So how was it?
that's the rule of thumb being a martial artist. Is once you stop learning, you can't be great.
Yeah, how was competing in Hawaii? Like, I think is that the first time you've competed there?
Yeah. Oh well, like I did my amateur career, most of my amateur career out there. And then I'd had since I moved away, I haven't fought in Hawaii since that Bellator card. So it was like it was a homecoming for me. It was really cool. I wish I got to fight on the night that all like my friends were on, and like the Lima card. I got to fight the first night, so it wasn't as packed house with Hawaii people as I hoped it would be. Like I would have probably at least sold close to 5, 6, 700 tickets at
Yeah.
least. If it was the second night.
Yeah, because there were two cards, right? One on like was it Friday and Saturday or
Yeah, it
Saturday?
was Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, Friday, Saturday. So I was on the support our troops card.
How did you? What would you say to like? Because the UFC has been like, for example, UFC has been hesitant to go to Hawaii. Obviously, like guys like Holloway and Tavares have been like, you gotta go, you gotta go. What will like if you had to give a pitch to these big organizations like Bellator or UFC? What would the pitch be to sell them on the fans?
Shoot, I mean, like, it's fighting pride in Hawaii. It's like Ireland, man. Where obviously we're much smaller, but like you're gonna expect a crowd that's gonna go crazy in there, especially if you get someone like Max and Brad Tavares and Maki Pitolo, like all guys that I'm close with and I trained with that will pack the house. And like people, like Hawaii supports their athletes like how a nation would support their athlete, like how Ireland would support Connor. It's you can't expect an environment that's not gonna light up.
Yeah. I mean, Hawaii's. I mean, it's also a dream destination. Like it's always been there, bucket list for me. Never made the move, but Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's only a matter of time before these I mean, obviously Bellator just went, but I think it's only a matter of
Yeah,
time before UFC, because UFC's got a handful of them, right? So they could
yeah.
easily
They could they
put on
could
a
put a
card there.
good Hawaii card. Like it'll be like those New Zealand and Australia cards, you know. Like they they're not gonna have to spend a lot of money to fly a bunch of Hawaii fighters into Hawaii to fight an outside guy. You know, like you already got Maki Pitolo, Max Holloway, both already there. So that's two flights or two travels, two guys that you don't have to pay for travels. You know,
Yeah, and I think it's really cheap there from California to Hawaii too. It's not far either, so it's not
it's
like it's a
expensive. It's actually quite expensive to go to Hawaii. I think that was um, one of the issues with me fighting. I wanted to get on the Bellator card, not last year, but the year before when they did it, and part of it was because they were kind of hesitant with paying for a bunch of the athletes. You know, like they kind of tried to stack the card with a bunch of Hawaii guys. So, and I was a Hawaii guy that kind of didn't make my name for myself yet. You know,
yeah.
so and they would have to pay to fly me home. So it was like it could be a win-lose situation, but I understand it. You know, you got to make money either way.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've had, I'm looking here. Did you only have the one amateur fight?
I've had multiple. It's a lot of them wasn't sanctioned. Like
Oh,
so,
okay.
I had a bunch of kickboxing matches, and then like like the only one that was sanctioned was like my King of the Cage fight back in Vegas, and it happened to be a draw. So it was hard for me to actually make my pro debut because they were like, "Oh, this guy has no amateur record," you know. But it took me almost a year and maybe a year and a half at least to make my pro debut. But a lot of sparring video had came up on me, and that's what I used to kind of get my pro debut.
Well, I mean, four wins in a row, all by first round finish. Not a bad way to start your pro career.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I mean, I had to kind of make a bang, you know. I was waiting for it for a long time to really make that my debut, and I made sure that I I got paid for what I was worth. You know, I was like telling them, "Hey, you're gonna get a good fight, so it's worth paying me."
yeah.
It was all by word of mouth, you know.
What's next for you? Do you have an idea of what when your return is? Do you have any nagging injuries that are need to be healed up or?
Um, nah, I mean, like any fighter, we all got injuries, but just right now, especially with the whole lockdown, it's like a giving and a curse. You know, it's giving me a chance to let those little bumps and bruises that hasn't fully healed kind of take that extra 20% to heal up or whatever it is. And I was really hoping to get on the San Jose card that they had May 9th or something like that. Here it was here in San Jose, so that wasn't gonna happen so I was told.
Yeah, it got
So
canceled. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, that got pushed. And I was looking at end of May, but in Temecula, May 29th, I think they had, but they announced the Chandler Ben Henderson card June
sixth.
6th in Chicago. And I was like, ooh, I really want to get on that. So I was really pushing for that. And since this whole thing came up with the pandemic, I was just like, until I hear something, then we'll just
Yeah,
go.
from a fighter's perspective, I mean, obviously, a lot of guys have been saying like, "I'll fight. It doesn't matter." From a fighter's perspective, what are some of the things you have to consider? I mean, obviously, the payday's on the line, right? Like anyone would take it a
Yeah.
payday, but training is not going to be as great as it would be. What would it take, I guess, from a fighter's perspective, to say, you know what, yeah, I'll fight, or is it just
Um,
I'm a fighter, I'll do it, doesn't matter?
it goes both ways. Like I'm one of those guys as well that I'll be like, I'll fight. Like I made my four fights of my since I've started pro. Like I haven't had a full camp yet. You know, all my fights were on 3.5, 4.5 weeks notice, and I like to start at 6 weeks. But I'm also one of those people. I stay ready as much as I can year round, so that if something comes up and they're like, "Hey, you want to fight next weekend?" I'm like, yeah, we're good. Let's go. Like I'm down. I'm always down. I'm always down for a paycheck, and I'm always down for a scrap. I'm not gonna really back down, but it's also one of those things where you got to listen to your coaches and your management. Like if they tell you you shouldn't take this fight for whatever reason it is, you should listen. You know, because they care about you.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, if you had one fight, I mean, obviously you've had 4 fights that were all impressive. I watched the one against Marco Sanchez. That head kick was beautiful. Is there
Yeah.
one that you're like, if you're looking at like if someone's saying I'm not really familiar with them, what fight would you recommend they watch to get an idea of your style, the way you fight?
Mm, I would say it was my last fight. That body kick against shoot, I forgot his name already.
Mike Jones.
Mike Jones. Yeah. Yeah, Mike Jones. How do you forget that name? I would say that would be the fight that if you really want to watch me, that would be the one because one that was my longest fight to date. Um, I thought I was gonna go in there and probably finish the fight a lot quicker, to be honest. I remember probably after I landed the first couple good shots. Actually, when I rocked him with that Superman punch in the beginning, that hard one too, and then he didn't go down. I was like, dang, I might actually be in for a scrap tonight. Like he, my whole facial expression. If you was there to see the fight like up close, like my corner, they seen the look on my face go from, ooh, we actually might have a scrap tonight, and that was one of those. I was actually happy because I kind of went in there. I was like, I'm gonna finish this quick, and then sure enough, like I think it was about a minute after I thought that I finished the fight, but it it's you can see a difference in how I can change tempo and I can go from throwing bombs to just peppering a bit and finding my openings. And sure enough, I found the opening as soon as I got patient.
I think that's the one thing I like most about Hawaiian fighters. Like guys, for example, like you, like Max Holloway, like Brad Tavares, like Yancey. It's always just tough. You
Yeah,
know, anytime if if you're a fighter and you have a Hawaiian fighter opposite you, you know you're in for a rough night. It's not
yeah,
gonna, and that's if you're selling Hawaii, if you're trying to sell Hawaii to a big organization, it's like you know you're gonna have a full night of banging fights. It's not gonna be they're
mm-hmm.
not tapping out. They're not gonna. You're in for wars every time you see Hawaiian fight. BJ Penn
Yeah,
is a great example of it. Like
yeah,
he set the tone, and I think all Hawaiian fighters have kind of picked up and kind of try to make him proud in that sense where they're all tough. I
yeah,
have yet to see a Hawaiian fighter that's not tough.
yeah. So it's like it's that warrior mindset we all have. Like growing up, it was like our parents didn't. I wouldn't say most parents or any parents I came across never was like, you better not get into fights or like like calling us wussies if we damn we got called wussies if we didn't want to fight, like, and to us it was the one thing about Hoyt is everybody wants to be chief, so it's like it was you scrap or you're not down, you're not a warrior, and like, I've had a lot of street fights because I always kind of in the back of my head I was like, I'm not gonna bow down to this guy, and we kind of grew up with that mentality. So going into the cage and actually being able to do it professionally and get paid for it, it's it's like a whole A boy's dream come true. You get to get paid to be the chief, it's
Yeah, you get
man
paid
versus man.
to do. Yeah, you'd be doing the exact same thing even without a paycheck, so may as well get paid
Yeah,
for it. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say being a street fighter is a good thing. Like, I, if I have kids, I'm be like, hey, stay away from street fights, please. But it's kind of just how we grew up. It's the mentality we want to be strong. We want to represent Hawaii in with that fighter mindset, and that's kind of how we do it for his Hawaiian
What
fighters, especially BJ.
Yeah, I guess what kind of went through your parents' mind when you're like, you know what, I want to be a cage fighter. I can't imagine. I mean, as a Canadian, you know, I mean, I have Spanish parents, but I can't imagine
Yeah.
if I went up to them saying, you know what, I think I'm just gonna fight. I feel like I'd be kicked out. Like I don't think like. So I guess how do they take it, and what would you recommend to like parents, I guess, whose kids have an interest in martial arts?
um, I would say like my mom, she didn't approve of me. Wait. back that up. Actually, I started training with my cousins a couple times, and I came home with the black eye, maybe 2 or 3 times in the first month. You know, like as soon as it went away, it came back. And my mom was like, "Oh, why are you training with your friends? And why do you want to do this?" Like I didn't even ask. I actually just started training, and it was kind of fun. It was one of those things I did on the side of football, and I was to stay in shape and stuff. And so my mom really kind of never said no, or she said, she didn't really support or whatever it was. It was like she was like, I don't know how I feel about you doing this, but never said anything. Like I was always a good kid. I did what I had to do around the house, and so she never really told me what to do. Um, but it's like if I was a parent, if it was like if I had a young kid, that wanted to do it at 7, 8, 9 years old, I'd be like, no, like you're too young to be getting punched in the head. It's not safe on your brain, but at the same time, you kind of got to support your kid. If you don't support your kids, that's how they start resenting you a little bit or whatever it is.
Yeah,
And
I do
that's
feel like if your kid wants to be a fighter, regardless of whether or not they have your approval, they're gonna find a way to do it.
Yeah, at some point they can do it, and at some point they turn 18 and they can do whatever they want anyway. you know,
Exactly.
yeah, it's kind of one of those things where I appreciate that my mom kind of never told me what to do, because I kind of found my way on my own, to where it was like fighting found me actually too. So it was one of those things where I only did it just to stay in shape. I never thought I was going to be a pro fighter. At one point, now I really think about it, not really. I wouldn't say there was a time where I was like, I want to be a pro fighter. It kind of just happened. And I grew up playing football, so I always had to feel like I had to feed my competitive edge somehow, and fighting ended up being the thing that found me.
Is I mean, I've seen videos and I've heard people talk about it. Guys like Max Holloway and guys like BJ Penn, are they like legends on the island, or is it on the islands, or is it just like did you grow up idolizing BJ Penn? Is that someone that, if everyone grew up admiring?
It's that's kind of tough. I would say, like, well, because for me, I'm not really one of those where um I'll idolize someone just because they're on TV or whatever it
Yeah.
is. But you do give them the respect. Like Hawaii people really pride themselves on respecting others. It's our culture, and like running into BJ, like we would go out of our way to shake their hand and be like, "Hey, right on, man," and walk away, and that's it. That's just paying our respects. So, I see Max, and if I've come across BJ, it's like I give him the respect they deserve, and I acknowledge them just because that's just how I was raised. And some people maybe do kind of idolize them, get all starstruck. But for me, it was always, hey, just they deserve respect, and I always gave them that whenever I did come across them.
Yeah, I have a couple of Hawaiian friends, and that's one of the things they said. And I'm Spanish. You don't really find it in Canada and United States as much, where that level of respect is carried out to no matter who you speak, unless obviously
Yeah,
they ruin it. But for example, someone who's older than me always has my respect, and I
yeah,
find people places like Hawaii, places like Spain, and I find this the smaller the place of Hawaii, the more respect that they instill in their kids, and the more they practice it, and that's one of the big things I've always wanted to go to Hawaii, not just because of the beaches and all that. It was always about getting to meet the people and getting to embrace myself in their culture. And Hawaii's always been on top of my list for that reason.
yeah.
And I guess there's some non MMA content for what are you doing in your free time here? Like any Netflix suggestions? Are
Oh,
you watching movies? What's
yeah. So me and Jesse, we've been just trying to find stuff. So lately, we've been kind of on on the Disney Plus app. We've been watching a whole bunch of like old Pixar movies and stuff. Like we just got done watching Small Soldiers, and like we watched Finding Nemo and stuff. Like just finding old stuff that we haven't really watched. It's not stuff you watch over and over again, but we just been watching a whole bunch of old movies like Toy Story and all that stuff. But we just got done watching Dracula, that 3-part series. that just came out. That was good. I actually enjoyed that. We're trying to find a TV show to watch at the moment.
Have you watched Tiger King yet?
Oh, actually, yeah, we just finished that too. She finished that yesterday. I got bored about 3 episodes in. Like, it kind of just ended up feeling like it was a lot of back and forth stuff. I was like, I'm over this already. But she finished it. She's one of those where she's like, I started, I gotta finish it. But
yeah, it's not for everybody. I loved it. But yeah, it's 100% not for everybody.
Yeah, no, it was good. I wouldn't say it wasn't good. Like, it was good to where, like, when I did watch, it was like, I'm stuck on a TV, like, blocking out. She's talking to me. I'm like, huh, what? Like, but it was one of those where it was background noise for me, and I was watching it and looking stuff on my phone at the same time. So it was cool. I liked it.
And I guess since there's not a whole lot of MMA going on right now, but there is one card that potentially could happen. If it does happen and the main event stays intact, who do you got? Khabib or Tony?
I don't know. It's kind of one of those where I don't care who wins, kind of, because I'm like, Khabib's sick, man. His wrestling is unreal, and Tony's fun to watch. He's a scrapper, you know. I'm not a fan of either, but it's like, if I had to really choose, in my heart, I want Tony to win, but like, realistically, I think Khabib wins because, like, he ends up mauling people. He's strong, you know, in that division. And I know Tony has sick jits, but it's one of those things where, oh man, Khabib gets on you, he wraps those legs up, man. You're in for a long night. And unless Tony can keep him away and, you know, do his awkward striking that he beats everybody with, oh man, I think Tony wins that way. But it'll be a good fight. It'll be good to see.
And I'll ask one more. I think I know the answer. Holloway, Volkanovski. If that were to happen again, obviously know who you're rooting for. Do you think it plays out differently than the first fight?
Nah, I actually think that Volkanovski wins again. Max kind of I feel like over the last couple of fights, he got complacent with his style, where he's kind of came out almost the same way against everybody. Honestly, in the first fight, of course I wanted Max to win because he's the Hawaii boy. Yeah. But a part of me was rooting for Volkanovski just because it became one of those things where I became a fan of him too. You know, he'd be a great champion for, you know, years down the road if he can keep winning. Because man, the he's unreal too, man. He's fun to watch. So I think second fight, Volkanovski wins again.
All right, perfect. Thank you for the time, man, and best of luck. I'll keep an eye on you, and hopefully you get back in there on June 6th.
Appreciate it, bro. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking the time. I just got this started a couple weeks ago and had a few UFC fighters, a couple Bellator fighters, so it means a lot that you took the time.
Yeah, sorry about yesterday. I totally spaced on it.
Man,
I was like, we gotta get this in.
Oh man, it's all good. It's all good.
We'll do it again sometime. Sure.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe after your next fight, I'll reach out again and talk about your win, your first round knockout.
Looking forward to that. Hopefully.
All right, man.
All right, my man. Stay safe.
Keep washing your hands.
Try to. All right, bro.